land condition class C, so we're going down the land condition classes and looking at the first component, which was the pasture. As you can see in this area, for a start, there's a lot less pasture. And by less, I mean there's actually less individual plants. So the pasture's starting to thin out quite dramatically. And not only is it thinning out, but also there's a major change in species. So there's very few 3P species left in this part of the pasture. There's the occasional black speargrass, there's a little bit of the exotic legume, the stylos, there's a small amount of Eurocloa, but most of the pasture, what is here, is made up of the likes of this wiregrass, red natal grass, so there's two species there that are inferior species, and we've got some small tussocks right down the bottom here of golden beard, which is another grass which we'd classify as an intermediate species. So you can see there's a major deterioration in the percentage of 3P species, or the preferred perennials, so the productivity of this pasture is very low. If we look at the soil, the first thing that's obvious is the lack of cover. There's a huge amount of bare ground here. I would estimate probably 20% cover, that is all. There's quite a bit of what we call litter banks. So this is where the little bit of litter that's on the ground is actually trapping sediment. The other telling sign here is the amount of sand or gravel, what we call a scree or a lag, that's sitting on the soil surface. And in this soil type, it is a gravel. And that indicates that the water has removed most of the fine fraction of the soil and left behind the coarse fraction. So a lot of runoff moving through this system, probably not a lot of infiltration, and therefore not a lot of pasture growth. Looking at the woodland, we've got a similar amount of currant bush in the distance, but we also have probably a few more saplings and seedlings of eucalypts. So the woodland is starting to get a little bit more dense in terms of percentage or the number of woody plants that are in the landscape. So on all counts, on the soil, the pasture and the woodland, this site has deteriorated quite dramatically and is definitely in land condition C.